Hey guys, Metal here. Today I'm going to be talking about my tier list of characters in Apex Legends. So you have 8 legends to pick from right now, and so I just want to explain my feelings on which ones are worth your time. So first we'll start out at the top tier and we'll work our way down. My first character is Lifeline. Her faster heals passive allows for aggressive players to stay in a fight longer. It's basically like having a slightly worse built-in gold backpack. You always have 25% faster heals. Her heal drone can be used to have essentially infinite syringes. It can be really good for healing up your whole team after having spent some time in the circle, or just having to do, or like fights in the beginning of the game. Another useful thing it can be used for is if you revive a teammate, drop the drone, while the time they're regenerating their shields, they'll also be getting their health back from the drone. Her ultimate, of course, allows the team to get constant supply drops to upgrade their gear. It can be a really big deal to help you supplement your loot with purples and blues. You should definitely give gold helmets and the ultimate chargers to Lifeline if you have her on the team and she's being helpful. It can be really good to have those extra supply drops and extra heals. And then she has a small hitbox, which makes her very hard to hit in close quarters. It makes shotguns a little less effective. So that's just all around Lifeline is a great pick. The second character I want to say is going to be top tier is going to be Gibraltar. His gun shield passive allows you to tank damage repeatedly throughout fights, especially in longer range fights where you have a lot of sniper rifles or scouts, things like that shooting at you. His tactical ability is really useful. It can be allowed with the big dome shield. It can help you use cover revives and heals, or can be used to create cover where there is none. It's really useful in team fights especially. It can also be used in more close quarters fights to allow you to isolate enemies one at a time. His airstrike ultimate can also do a ton of damage. It's really great to deny areas, initiate fights, or just buy time for a retreat or a revive or something like that. You can call the shield on yourself and then drop the airstrike on yourself, and that'll prevent enemies from pushing you while you revive a teammate. My third top tier pick and my last top tier pick is going to be Wraith. Her passive, that with the voices in her head, gives you a warning before other teams initiate a fight on you, and that can make a huge difference in fights. Sometimes it doesn't help much, but other times it allows you to get to cover and make a stronger position, which is just really valuable. Her tactical ability also allows her to get out of risky fights in open terrain. It does leave a trail when she phases out into the other dimension, so it's best to use when enemies aren't just solely focused on you, but also have to worry about your teammates or possibly another team. Her ultimate allows for great team movement. Being able to make those portals can allow you to loot outside the circle for longer. Like if you kill a bunch of guys outside the circle, you can pop a portal on the bodies, pop a portal back in the circle, and then you can loot them and not take very much damage. It can be used to move your whole team out of a compromised position. If you're like pinned down or something, you drop the portal, phase walk out through the open, and then go to a building or something, a stronger position, and drop the portal, and then your whole team can move out. It can also be used offensively to move your whole team right onto an enemy or onto a flanking position, or other ways that you can move quickly and move your whole team together and move your whole team more stealthily than you could with Pathfinder with a zipline, but more on that later. So now we're going to step down to mid tier. The first character I want to talk about who I put in the mid tier is Bangalore. Her passive is often pretty useful while taking fire in the open or during close quarter shotgun fights. It allows you to move faster while being shot at. Her smoke can be useful to cover a revive and cover just movement in general, confuse enemies in close quarters and things like that. But I would say that her smoke is just a little bit like Gibraltar's shield, but a little bit worse. I mean, people can't see through it, but they can just shoot through it. So I'd rather have Gibraltar's shield in a lot of situations where the smoke is useful. Her ultimate is also just kind of like Gibraltar's ultimate, but worse. It does have a wider range of effect, but because it's more telegraphed by the missiles sitting in the ground for a long time, and the fact that they explode outward in a ring, makes it less effective at denying areas and actually effectively doing damage. So, while Bangalore is good, and I will say there's not much difference between the top tier and the mid tier in this game, I would say that in a lot of situations, you'd be better off with a Gibraltar on your team. The next up is Pathfinder, and so his passive is useful. That allows you to, jack into the different like drones around the map, or like poles, and see where the next circle is going to be. But it's just not really needed that often. The issue is that in Apex, positioning is not really highly rewarded because of the high mobility. And so it's a lot of the times moving to another circle is not as punishing as it would be in a game like, say, PUBG, where moving can be really brutal and you'll die very quickly if you're caught out in the open. The extra mobility Pathfinder has with grappling can be fun and cool, but it's often not really needed in fights. You can often win just fine without it. And it has a significant learning curve. I've had a lot of trouble just getting used to like the range of it. I know you can do cool things with it once you get used to it, but I don't feel like those cool things are much more than like party tricks, like the video clips for a montage. You'd be better off improving your fundamentals like sliding, jumping, aiming, that sort of thing, and that would give you better skills with all your characters and give you the ability to win fights on all your characters. Pathfinder's ultimate recharges quickly and can be used to gain positioning advantages, but the problem with Pathfinder's ultimate is compared to Wraith's ultimate, which I'll compare Pathfinder and Wraith because they're both like your mobility heroes, is it can't be used stealthily at all. It's very obvious when you set up the zipline. Using it is loud. You're still in the open essentially and flying through the air for everyone to see. So while it comes up a lot and can be useful, I would say it's still inferior to Wraith's portal. He also has a larger hitbox than Wraith and a lot of other like mobile, more fraggy heroes, even like Lifeline or Bangalore. So I think in some ways that makes him worse. Gibraltar has a big hitbox too, but he has a lot of shielding abilities to make up for that. Pathfinder doesn't. So now we're going to move down in the trash tier. The first pick I have for trash tier is going to be Bloodhound. I know there's a lot of Bloodhound mains that are going to be offended by this out there, but I really just feel like Bloodhound's pretty useless. The passive rarely gives useful information. Being able to see that somebody took a step here or opened a door or got shot here within a minute ago is just rarely that useful or good to know. His tactical Q ability can help find opponents, but it often also reveals Bloodhound's own position. So like, it's basically neutral because now you know where the other guy is, but he also knows where you are. So like, what's the difference? His ultimate can be useful if you're like a really good fragger, but it offers just not much utility. It's not like being able to see enemies highlighted in red just isn't that great. Basically, the issue with Bloodhound is that his abilities just don't offer much beyond what a skilled player's eyes and ears are already capable of, which makes Bloodhound, in my opinion, trash tier. The next trash tier character is Caustic. His passive does allow for easy targeting of enemies that are trapped in your gas by highlighting them red like they're on a target finder, or a digital threat scope rather. His tactical ability allows him to set up gas traps, and his ultimate allows for a more offensive use of the gas with a gas grenade. However, the gas is just not very useful. It does an insignificant amount of damage. It does blur vision, but like, that's just not very good. And it also blurs your teammates' vision. It doesn't damage them, but it blurs your teammates' vision. So it can often be just, Caustic can often simply just be a detriment to his team, and you're really just better off having someone else on your team. My last trash tier character is Mirage. His passive ability cloaks him when he goes down, which sounds cool, but it rarely fools a competent player because you're still going to see on your screen that you knocked somebody. And it prevents him from using a drop shield effectively, because if he uses his drop shield, then you'll see where he is, obviously. So he can't, it's just not a very good passive. His tactical ability that it deploys a simple decoy is Mirage's most useful ability and has the best chance to fool somebody, but it still often doesn't and can only be really used and expected to fool people when they can't see you. So it requires you to have like a lot of forethought into when you're going to deploy the Mirage decoys. So it's kind of situational. His ultimate allows Mirage to cloak while making a large ring of decoys around him. The decoys all stand still in a circle, and they often really just serve to telegraph that Mirage has gone cloaked. The only time you're going to see 6 Mirage decoys in a circle is when he cloaks. So when I see 6 Mirage decoys in a circle, I know that I should expect to see a cloaked Mirage running away. So it makes the ability pretty shit. Frankly, I'd rather it just cloak him and not make the decoys, because at least then he could run behind a rock real quick, cloak, and then maybe I wouldn't see him run back from out behind the rock. But that's not how it works. I'll see a big ring of decoys pop out behind the rock, and I'll know, oh, he's cloaked. So Mirage's highly situational abilities that rarely fool experienced players is what makes him trash tier. So overall, again, just to repeat, the best top tier characters is Lifeline, Gibraltar, and Wraith, and then slightly worse but still pretty good choices are Bangalore and Pathfinder, and then the trash tier useless characters that need to be reworked or buffed are Bloodhound, Caustic, and Mirage. Alright guys, if you disagree with me, leave it in the comments below. If you enjoyed that video, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you know when I upload more. My Discord server, Twitch, Patreon, and all my other social media are in the description if you want to follow me, get in touch, or support the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day.